Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to be giving you a flip through of my life vlog / memory keeping journal and how things are looking for the month of January, and also how I'm feeling about this journal and using this journal for kind of life documentation after looking through the month and reviewing everything and kind of just looking at how all the pages turned out. I started this journal a little bit into the beginning of 2023. I'd originally decided to use a passport notebook, then I switched to this guy and I committed to using this for the whole month of January, which I did. I journaled every single day for the month, which was awesome. I will say though, I didn't journal every single day on the day. Sometimes I would have like a weekend journal sesh where I would fill out a bunch of entries at once because life can get busy, but I do have an entry in here for every day of the month. So let's just flip through this and you guys can see how it turned out. The notebook that I have in this Superior Labor cover is a stalogy. It's an A6 size full year version with grid. And I used one fountain pen the entire month. This one is a Kaweco broad nib fountain pen and it's inked with J. Urbain Le Détail, which is this really beautiful brown, and I really love how you can see the kind of color elements and kind of variation in the color with the broad nib. So that is kind of the base foundation of all these spreads that you'll see. And for my spreads, I just kind of wrote the date at the top and then journaled as much as I wanted to. I kept things pretty laid back and simple, and I also pasted in cutouts from my Sora calendar as well, and I would put the QR code for the day that the calendar entry was on the page that the journal entry was on, which was kind of cool. So this is how it looked like. I started to paste in some ephemera and stuff I collected on my kind of things that I did during the month, like a receipt from a dumpling place I went to with a friend. And I also have some packaging later on in here. I have this is a credit card that I got, so I put it in the kind of congratulatory message that you get when you get the card, so I put that in there. I bought a chicken and I really liked the label, so I put that in there as well. I also got a little creative with packaging. This was from a order from Baumkuchen, and I really loved this thank you note that I received, and I wanted to figure out how to put it in, so I ended up folding up the note and then kind of putting it in like this, and then I actually cut out this piece of the invoice that had this beautiful stamp on it, and I pasted it in so it kind of acted as like a bit of a tab you could use to open up the journal, which was really cool. I also did a collage with some more of the elements that came with the packaging, just because I thought that would be fun. I also want to put photos in here. I have a sticky note at the moment because I'm waiting to upgrade my photo printer, but I would do like a full page photo here if I had it done, just to give you guys the visual. And that is kind of how the days went. And then right after, I did kind of this recap page where I wrote a little bit about how the month was. I added some washi tape here from Yohaku just to add a little bit of, I don't know, fun. I just kind of wanted to put down washi tape, so I went ahead and did it. And that was the month of January all filled out. So now comes the interesting part of this video, which is talking about how this system is working for me. So to set the scene, until I finished the month, writing in this journal every day, or almost every day, was really fun. I really enjoyed doing it. I liked how kind of streamlined and simple it was. I would just write things down and occasionally save a page for a cutout or a moon phase, so there wasn't a lot of effort and it wasn't very high maintenance, which was awesome. And I really liked being able to write down kind of these longer entries on what happened during the day. And I was pretty convinced, like in the moment, that I would keep this up. And once I got to the end of January and I wanted to flip through the pages and read them so that I could do kind of my recap and reflect on how the month went, that's where I ran into kind of a bit of a challenge. So when I went to flip through these pages, one of the things that immediately kind of stuck out to me was, while during the time or during the moment that I was writing these entries, I really loved writing everything down and including all of the details, trying to look back on these entries was kind of hard because there was so much writing. And even though I wanted to reflect on how the month went, I didn't want to have to sit down and read pages upon pages of entries just to get a kind of overview or idea of, you know, what I did, the people I saw, the things I enjoyed watching and eating and reading. And I found that there was a lot of effort that had to go into kind of extracting that information from the page because I had a lot of writing going on. So I was kind of thinking about that, and essentially, and I'll bring this out for you guys, I kind of realized I was at a bit of a roadblock with my life log. I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep doing things that way because while in the moment with the practice it felt pretty achievable, I kind of wrote every couple days, which was fine. Maybe ideally I'd like to write every day, but that's more me kind of committing to a time to write daily. That doesn't have to do with the journal itself. I found that the other part of having a memory keeping journal or a life log, the actual going back and looking at it and reading about what was going on, that part was kind of lacking with this book because I really just had to like dig and forage for information. I couldn't easily look at my January spreads and see what I was doing and get an overview of how I was spending my life during that time. So I did what I usually do, which is I made a pro-con list of what was working with my stalogy, what wasn't working, and then I tried to kind of get back to basics and really dig into, well, what do I want in a life log? What do I want from the practice itself? And then what do I want from it as this tangible archive that I'm gonna go back and look at? So I went ahead and wrote my thoughts down, and I thought I would just show you guys an overview of kind of my thought process and like the writing I did, because I think sometimes it's hard to know where to go forward when you realize that something isn't really working in your journals the way you hoped it would be, and how you want to go forward. Do you want to start a new journal? Do you want to change something about the journal you're currently using, and how do you navigate that? So I don't really have an answer right now, but I thought I would show some of the initial thinking I've been doing, some of the brainstorming I've been doing, and one of the things that is helping me work through this is going back to the main kind of question of function and the intention of the journal. Why do I want to keep this journal, and what is the value that it's going to bring me? So when I was thinking about this, I broke it up into two kind of parts of the life log. One is, what is the value of the practice? What do I need from the practice in order for it to be enjoyable in the moment as I'm filling it out daily or almost daily? And then what is the value that I'm getting from this thing as an archive tool that I want to look back on? So I wrote down some of my thoughts here, and one of the things that kind of really stood out to me for the value side of referring and archiving information is, for me, I really want to have an archive of how I spent my days that I can easily reference. And that was kind of a really big kind of moment for me to realize that maybe the way I'm recording memories in this just isn't easy for me to reference. Maybe I want to use my life log as something to get that overview of what I was doing, and then maybe I want to kind of have a part of that log that maybe is separate, or maybe part of it but a different piece of it that allows me to dig into those days where I want to have all of the details recorded. I want to include all of the moments because maybe it's a special day or I'm traveling, but you know, not every day needs a really big entry. And even on the days where I have a lot to write down, I do still want to get that distilled view, that kind of shorter summary of what was going on, so I can really easily look at my week or the month and understand what was happening. So after I kind of identified the purpose, I started to play around. I have a lot of journals, so one of the things I like to do is I like to just take out random journals that I have lying around that I've either kind of used and stopped using or experimented with, and I just like to kind of take things out and see what's happening and just try something different and see what it looks like and how it feels. So I took out my free weekly horizontal insert from the Travelers Company. This is the standard regular size. And what I did was I did a bit of a kind of example of maybe using this spread. How would this feel? I'd previously used this spread kind of in this way, where this was back before I used fountain pens, but I would kind of have my weekly summary on the left, and then on the right, I would write these lists of, you know, things I purchased, things I'm watching, things I'm eating, things I'm reading. And this was inspired by Abby's Hobonichi weeks, where she kind of had similar lists like this on the right hand side, and she'd have not only these things but also lists of good things that happened that week. And I thought that was kind of a cool idea to give you a snapshot at the week and a bit more of an overview. So I kind of looked at this and I thought maybe that could be something that I might want to try now that I use fountain pens as well. How would that work with fountain pens? Maybe, you know, if I did use something like this, I could switch up the colors every week and maybe have a bit more fun with it and get creative. And then with the Traveler's Notebook, the appeal of having the kind of string system is I could maybe have this overview of the week, a snapshot of every day, and then for days where I want to really dive into what happened or a special memory or event, I can do that in a separate insert. And then they would all be archived together in a binder, so it'd be very easy to go back and forth. And maybe I'm just thinking about the organization system now, but you know, maybe we could connect those things with kind of a dot sticker to denote, you know, this entry expands later on in a different insert. So I know I can go check that out if I want to get those details, but I can still have this overview. So thinking about how I can allow myself to zoom in, but also zoom out on my life log. So I can get an overview when I want to, but I can also dig deep and dive in when I want to see all the details. So that's kind of some thinking I've been having around the Traveler's Notebook. I'm not sure if I'll go with this. I'm not sure if I'll stick with my A6. I don't really have like an answer to share with you guys right now to say like I figured this out, because I think part of the answer just comes from experimenting and figuring it out, but I feel like I haven't really shared with you ever my thought process and how I think about things when I've come to a bit of a roadblock with my journals. So I hope you enjoyed seeing the journal so far, and I hope you also enjoyed hearing, my thoughts about when things aren't working perfectly and your journal maybe isn't turning out the way you thought it would. So I'll keep you updated on what I go forward with and how I navigate this, but I thought I would just share those kind of initial thoughts and how I try to think through these things in case anyone else is going through this with their own journals. I think it's okay to experiment with your journals and play around and try different things. No one is forcing you to commit to something, and if jumping around and trying new things is part of what you enjoy in the process, then I think that you should just go ahead and do what works for you. So yeah, that's kind of how my life log is right now. This is kind of the thing I'm thinking about. I might move back into my standard, we will see, and I'll keep you guys updated. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you're still here after all my rambling, I hope you enjoyed and I hope it was helpful. And as always, thank you to my patrons for all their support, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, everybody.